Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're starting our Pac-12 football predictions today, and our next team had a horrible start to the season last year, but finished with 9 straight victories, and this year they look like prime college football playoff contenders. They are the USC Trojans. So USC started the season 1-3 last year, their 3 losses coming to Alabama, Utah, and Stanford. A very tough 4-week stretch to open up the season, but definitely not the start that USC fans were hoping for. But after those 4 weeks, Sam Darnold kind of came onto the scene and revived the Trojans, leading them to 9 straight victories, including that thriller over Penn State in the Rose Bowl. So this season, Darnold is back, probably a front runner for the Heisman Trophy, if not a major contender. But USC does have a lot of hype around them. I project them to be a preseason top 5. They have 12 returning starters. The key question will be, can USC handle the hype? Many years we have seen USC get all this hype and then ultimately fail or really go below expectations. So will this be the year that USC gets all the hype and actually does something with it and actually performs like everybody hopes and thinks that they will? So we're just going to find out. So USC opens up with Western Michigan, but last year, Western Michigan was great, went undefeated, went to the Cotton Bowl, nearly upset Wisconsin, but they did lose P.J. Fleck. They lost their quarterback. They lost their Corey Davis at wide receiver. So they lost a lot of people, and the head coach, P.J. Fleck, I really thought kept that group together, and now he's off, took the head coaching job at Minnesota. So even if they were still there, I wouldn't think this would be a problem for the Trojans, but now they're not. That really does hurt Western Michigan's chances, not only in this game, but also in their conference as well, in the MAC. So then they get Stanford right off the bat, Pac-12 game in the second week of the season. This is a cross-division game. Stanford is going to be no pushover this year. That was one of their losses, USC's losses earlier in the season. Last year, this game was at Stanford. It was there last year, but if it was out there this year, I might be picking Stanford. They're a very good team. I think they have 16 returning starters. Always a good team under David Shaw there. But I'm going to give USC the win over Stanford. I think that'll be a fun game to watch, and it'll be very interesting. That's going to be their first big test, only in the second week for both of these teams. So we're really good to see what USC is made of and if they can continue the success that they had at the end of last season. So then they get Texas. Everybody remembers that national championship game back in 2005 between USC and Texas, an instant classic, one of the best games in probably college football history. So Texas makes the trip out to USC. Tom Herman trying to create something at Texas, and I think he will eventually get there. I don't think he's going to have a bad year in his first year with the Longhorns, but I don't think he's to the point in only the third game of the season where he's going to go on the road and upset USC. That would be a shocker, I think, for everybody. But what a matchup, though. I mean, I'm very excited to watch this game. It's going to be a very fun non-conference showdown in Southern California. But I'm going to give USC the win there. I love Tom Herman. He did great things at great things at Houston. And I think he's going to do great things at Texas as well. But I don't think he's going to be able to get this win over USC. So then they travel to California on the road. This is going to be a major rebuilding year for California. They get Justin Wilcox, the new head coach. They do have 14 returning starters, but they did lose a lot of the key starters. They have 6 on offense, 8 on defense. But they lost a lot of key, like Davis Webb at quarterback. California, it's hard to believe that they had Jared Goff just a few years ago and were very highly ranked and were Pac-12 contenders a couple of years ago. But this year, I don't think they're going to be able to compete with many Pac-12 opponents, and I think USC gets the easy win there. And then Washington State, a team I'm very high on this season, 16 returning starters. They have Luke Falk back at quarterback, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the Pac-12. Pac-12 really, this is the year of the quarterback for them. They're loaded with Darnold at USC, Rosen at UCLA. You got Falk at Washington State. You got Browning at Washington. So you got tons of talented quarterbacks here in the Pac-12. I feel like this could be a trap game for USC. It's a Friday night, coming off a short week. It's on the road. Washington State is not going to be a bad team this year. The defense is always a major question, but they returned 9 starters on defense this season, and then 7 on offense, along with Luke Falk, one of the better quarterbacks statistically. I mean, heck of an arm. And I'm actually going to project a loss here for USC, a lone conference loss, only a couple weeks into the season. Not even in October yet. I just really feel like this is a trap game. I feel like Washington State has the talent. They're getting to the point. This is the year they're going to really need a breakthrough. They had Connor Holiday a few years ago. Did some good things with him. But Luke Falk, I think, is a heck of a quarterback. And I feel that Washington State has the talent to compete with USC. Remember, this is a cross-division game, so Washington State's not in their division. But I feel like this could be a major trap game. I'm going to give USC the loss there. But they do get a lucky break. Back-to-back games against Oregon State and Utah. Oregon State, a team that struggled recently. But this season they get Oregon State at home, and that's going to really help them out. And then they get Utah at home, back-to-back home games. Remember last season, Utah was one of the games that USC lost in those first 4 weeks. A lot of people actually are high on Utah this season. I really don't see it. They do have a decent amount of returners coming back, and they just got Carrington from Oregon, that wide receiver that will definitely help them. But I really don't see why so many people are high on Utah, and I'm going to give USC the win there. I don't think Utah's going to be able to compete, especially not on the road. And then Notre Dame, the classic rivalry game. This could also be a potential trap game. I like Notre Dame this season. They're going to be so much better than their 4-8 record from last season. If USC is going to lose another game, it's going to be here at Notre Dame. I really don't see anybody else on this schedule that they could lose to. Right now, I'm going to give USC the win. As of right now, I'm going to give USC the win. This is one of those major toss-up games, one that I definitely wouldn't be betting on if I were in Vegas, because really I feel like this game could go either way. It's at Notre Dame. It could be a trap game. Notre Dame, like I said, is going to be a very good team this year. A lot of people don't see it, but they're all referring to the past. They're looking at last year, a 4-8 record last year. They're not looking forward. And Notre Dame will improve, not by 1 game, not by 2 games, but by at least 3 or 4. I'm actually projecting at least 4. And so Notre Dame will give USC a very tough challenge here. Could be a loss for the Trojans, but right now I'm going to give them that win. And then last 4 weeks of the season, 2 home games, 2 road games. Arizona State, a team that usually has a very good offense, but I don't think it's going to be much for USC this season. I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge for them. And then Arizona, a team that obviously struggled last season as well. Didn't go to a bowl game. Rich Rodriguez is probably on the hot seat there at Arizona. He had that one breakthrough year a couple years ago when he went to the Fiesta Bowl, but they ended up losing that game. So I want to give USC the win there. It's also at home, so that does help them. And then Colorado, a team that had Colorado upset USC last season, and they almost did. It actually wouldn't have been an upset. USC technically upset Colorado last season. They stunned everybody. Colorado did. But Colorado on the road this season, I don't really see that as a trap game because Colorado lost a lot of talent this past season. They're still going to be a good team, a team that no one should overlook, especially on the road for USC. Going to Colorado, that could be a potential trap game. I don't see it being too much for the Trojans to handle, though. And at this point late in the season, USC will be playing for a lot more than Colorado. I mean, look at that. They only have 1 loss here. So they're definitely trying to get to a potential college football playoff berth. And so they're going to need this Colorado win. I'm going to give it to them. I really don't see Colorado giving them much of a fight there. And then UCLA, another rivalry game. This is going to be a great quarterback matchup between Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. I'm very excited to watch that. Whether it be at UCLA or at USC, doesn't matter. They're not that far apart. And I'm going to give USC the win there in the season finale over UCLA. I think UCLA will improve a lot from last year. They had a lot of hype last year. Everybody thought Josh Rosen was going to do some pretty good things, but that he ended up getting hurt and it just didn't work out for the Bruins. But this year I think they're going to bounce back. And so I'm going to give USC this 11-1 record here. Their lone loss coming to Washington State. The lone loss could also potentially come to Notre Dame, or they could lose both. I'm very excited to see how they do this season for USC. I really do think they are potential college football playoff contenders. They're going to have to beat whoever it is in the Pac-12 title game to get there. And if they were to lose that Notre Dame game and the Washington State game, if they lose 2 games, I don't see them getting there. If they lose 2 games, I do not see them getting to the college football playoff, even if they were to win the Pac-12 championship game. But if they only lose 1 game, they're still very much alive for that berth. So we'll just have to wait and see. But right now I'm going to pick them at 11-1 and more than likely finishing first in this Pac-12 South Division. So please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to hear what you guys have to think about this. We're just going to plow through the Pac-12. We've got a lot of teams coming up. So please stay tuned. Please let me know what you guys think. Comment teams you want to see predicted. And we'll see you next time on the Growing Expert.